son. Where'd you find this?
Buckle up, buttercups. It's time to get down to business. Oh, yeah. It's the Totally Legitimate Business Podcast. Totally legit.
It's a Totally Legitimate Business Podcast with the stupidest intro of all time. It gets stupider every time I hear it.
Did you do that, or did you pay somebody?
Of course I did that. What do you mean?
Like your voice.
Of course I did that, yeah. Anyways, the Totally Legitimate Business Podcast. Make sure to like and subscribe. I've got to do better about telling people to do that. But we're joined today by two guests, longtime friends, Pete and Zac. Welcome to the show.
This is like,
hey, I hit you with the sound effects, baby.
It's morning zoo radio. This is really professional.
Exactly.
Is there like a Casio next to you that has like 5 built-in sounds?
No. It's a MIDI keyboard that I program my own, but it's beside the point. It's beside the point.
It is the point.
I guess. Well, you know,
you're on a chip.
Just so I can give you a little taste. I want to let you know.
Pull the curtain back for us, please.
You can pull that out at any moment. Wait, here we go. Huh? How about that? And I've got a few others. I've got a few others I'll save for opportune moments.
Don't blow your load.
Yeah. We gotta save it. Anyways, guys, you know, I heard you were starting a podcast. Podcast, and I gotta say, I love that. I love it when people find yet another outlet for their creative enjoyment. What's the podcast about?
Well, I just thought the world needed 2 more white guys talking about inane stuff, so
it was time. Sometimes
Zac and I Zac and I started, along with our producer George, we started a podcast called Surf Dudes with Attitude, about the 90s television teen sitcoms California Dreams. So it's been a journey so far. We got about half of the first season in the can, and we haven't released anything yet because we just want to edge people and leave them wanting more.
Yeah, for sure. Got an edge.
We want to have a nice buffer too. But anyway, it's us kind of looking at the show. I was a fan of the show. Embarrassingly, it made me want to become a musician and be in a band.
I fucking knew it. I was going to ask you, and I fucking knew it. Anyways, continue.
And Zac has never seen the show, and Zac is homeschooled, so he doesn't know how high school operates. And I didn't know that when I asked him, but I was like, "This is just saying, this is perfect."
Yeah, neither does that show.
Yeah, nobody's so far. So we're halfway through. I had never even heard of this show, and none of them have been to school. So I've learned nothing about the high school experience yet.
I did promise them that, and not delivered.
There's a lot to back that theory, but
they are socially awkward, and their parents are seemingly
socially awkward there, Pete. All right, don't lead with that one. Yeah, they don't know how to interact with people. It's bullshit.
It is a strange,
great band.
It is a strange show. I had never heard of it before. You guys had talked about it. And
that's crazy to me. I think you're my age, are you not?
Yeah, I'm 35, so we're close, but not totally the same.
Enough.
And I guess the thing is we were getting different TV stations. I literally never saw that. I have never seen. I had never.
But you saw Saved by the Bell, didn't you?
Of course. This to me was like budget Saved by the Bell.
Came on right after. Did you just take a massive dump after every episode for 22 minutes and completely missed it?
I don't know. I also.
Are you a regular person?
I also wasn't watching Saved by the Bell a ton either. I guess.
Okay.
I don't know.
Anyway, it's been weird revisiting it, and I'm genuinely excited to kind of show what we've been working on to the world and kind of get their feedback, because right now we're in this bubble. It's like 2-month, 3-month bubble of us just working on it
watching
before anybody gets it. We only released a promo and a trailer this week for it. So, and our producer texted me. He's like, "Hey, 13 people have listened to the trailer on Spotify. We got to do something," kind of thing. And I was like, "Wow, 13 people. That's great." But apparently it's not great. We have to do more.
He's not impressed. It was just us making sure. It was us.
It was me doing it 12 times to make sure I sounded real good.
Yeah. So there's a couple things. I watched my episode. I'm very excited.
Yeah, we're excited to have you on here.
You might be our first guest. We're striking out with next week's guest. So,
well, that's even better because I'm going to tell you, I took some fucking notes. There were so many moments when I was watching that show where I was enraged. And it's another one of those things like I never, even as a kid, when I would see the TV shows, I never bought into the fantasy. Like I knew life wasn't like a Full House. Like I knew that it was a sitcom, right? Like none of it was ever believable to me. So it having to revisit that not by choice was rather painful. And I've got some great notes, and I can't wait for our episode together.
I'm so sorry it was thrust upon you so indignantly.
But here's a question. Okay, so Zach. This isn't necessarily going to apply to you, even though I'm not going to lie. I was judging both of you thinking this was a show you both grew up watching. Okay. But I knew that this was fundamental. Like, Pete, how real, as a band, how real did you think that was? How close to the actual band experience?
I didn't think it was real. I did not think it. The same way when I watched, if you even got far enough to watch Saved by the Bell the college years, I knew that wasn't college. Okay. I was smart enough to discern reality from fiction, but I wanted to be a band in high school. Okay. I wanted to be, there's a character that comes on, Zach, you can put your earmuffs on. There's a character that comes on in the second season, Jake, and he's like the bad boy guitarist. And I wouldn't say I idolized him, but I was definitely like, okay, of all the dorks in that band, that's the closest of what I want to be. Yeah. So they were getting shows super quick. Like every week they had a show, and granted they were always playing at the same place, but I was like, oh, I want that. I want a residency.
But it wasn't real.
It wasn't. Of course, it wasn't real. But
oh my god, the intro song! Don't tell me there was a point where you liked that.
That is their most popular song. I don't know if you know this.
The first line is the name of our podcast. The exactly. Attitude, and that song brings no attitude whatsoever.
No, not at all. Yeah.
Makes no as far as I went in the song to find a name, I was like, there it is. It's just it's that
itself.
Shit's writing itself.
I've been wanting to do this podcast for 10 years, and like the quick elevator pitches that every year I would look it up and nobody was doing it. And I had asked just a handful of people if they wanted to do it, and everyone shot me down. And then I wanted to revive this. The band is not touring right now. Just we don't tour in the winter. And I was like, oh, I want to do something. I checked it out. And then literally the next day, California Dreams, the band, was getting back together for the first time in 30 years in New York City because of Comic-Con. And I was like, this is the universe telling me this has to happen. So I went. $100 ticket. I went. And it was super sad and kind of cringy. But literally on my way, or like the day that I was like, I have to do this, I call Zach, and he said he said yes. And I was like, I don't know what he knows he's signing up for. The 78 episodes. And I was like, this is it. And I was just so happy that he was homeschooled. He had never heard of the show. Because I fully expected him to be like, oh yeah, that show. I'm too busy, because he's a busy guy.
Every reason I gave to get out of it was like another sell for Pete. I was like, I've never seen the show. I've never even heard of it. He's like, that's
I'm not a musician, actually. I have no qualifications.
I was like, how's homeschool? I mean, I don't. He's like, that's even better. It's not better.
Yeah. So wait. So
anyway, I saw people watching. So the whole point is that when I saw them play this live, This was a catalyst to the whole show starting, and we're going to be doing a Patreon content just to talk about this incident, because I took a lot of footage. And
there's a 10 out of 10 chance if you guys just do enough episodes of this, they'll come on the show. There's a 10 out of 10 chance.
You have no idea what's already planned, and it's so close to happening. But when I saw them, they not only started their set with this song. Their encore was also this song was the theme song, the extended theme song that you heard on the pilot episode. It's beautifully, it's weirdly wholesome, but it's so beautifully cringe, but not in the way that other shows are. Like, we had to watch, I mean, I don't know what Zach felt. We haven't talked about it yet. We're doing our podcast after this, but we had to watch a Full House episode today, kind of in the similar vein where Stephanie starts a band, and holy shit, I have never missed the California Dreams universe so much as I did today while I was watching Full House, because it's just, Full House is just a far shittier show. It's just so saccharine, and there's nothing to look forward to. So, breaking news.
Really?
I was like, I missed Tony and Jenny and Sly and Matt.
Pause.
Melody Garrison.
We will come back. We will come back to that. I need a little bit more context here about Zach.
Yeah, please. I'll shut up.
You were homeschooled. Did you watch any of these shows growing up? Any of the 90s, like this era of TV? Was it something that you consumed frequently as a kid?
It was more mid to late 90s, like TGIF, once that's what was going on. The Boy Meets World.
Sabrina, right?
Sabrina, yeah. Yeah, so a little bit of Saved by the Bell, but I didn't, very vaguely. So some of that, I was born in 1990, so this show came out when I was 2, so I would have missed it entirely. That was part of it, but yeah, it's just a world I don't know about. It's a world I'm eager to learn.
It's a terrible fucking world.
It's not.
It's a terrible world.
Every other episode has been enjoyable to me and the process. And Pete's like, it's not gonna get better for you. I'm sorry. If that episode was hard to get through, I'm sorry what's coming.
Strap in. Yeah.
No. I mean, really, like, that show, when I watched it to me is just a staple of the time. And again, like, as a kid, I never enjoyed any of those shows. I was aware that TGIF was on, but I wasn't like, waiting every week to,
You knew the day of the week, right? Like, you knew it when it was Friday, and you're something's happening tonight.
Friday. I'm so thankful that it is today.
I do love that it is Friday,
this is really good
because my shows are on.
It is a wholesome. It goes up and down, like this show California Dreams, as opposed to Saved by the Bell. That's like, it's we kind of know the Zach Morris is trash, all of that. Like, no, there's not a lot of redemption in the characters in some of these other shows. California Dreams, everybody, at least by the end of each episode, is trying to do their best. They miss a lot, but their best is not super good. But they tend to care about each other in the band and try to make those right decisions when adversity hits them.
Yeah,
I haven't seen the episode yet that you'll be joining us on. So I don't know what I'm defending in it exactly right now. I might eat my words, but we'll get there.
That's crazy.
I think Tiff has a deadbeat mom or something in that episode.
We finally get to meet her mom.
Hey, let's save it. Let's save it.
But it's crazy that James is the expert of the show right now. Neither of us have seen the episode.
Well, you've seen it a handful of times, just not.
Let's save it for your guys' show. But so I was born in 88. I effectively do not remember anything till about the same era, like 95 maybe is the first memories I have of being aware of what was on TV. But again, I never watched any of this shit, and I always hated it. And it's not to say that I loved sitcoms in the 2000s, because I hated those too. But it was too false for me to even pretend to believe. I couldn't even pretend to believe it. And another thing I love is just, of course, like the dating of the clothing. The manager and his big suits.
Oh yeah.
Oh God, it's so disgusting that we, as a culture, at one point in time, thought that was cool.
Well, I mean, the early aughts is right around the corner for you guys. So low-rise jeans and multicolored patterns and layers were all the thing. So I miss kind of the big boxy colors of the 90s, but I guess I am a tad older. So
I do too. I do too. I love that. I love that style. I know what you mean.
I think the fashion's awesome.
James,
I would love to bring.
Fashion's pretty good.
I think the fashion's great.
I wear a lot of big boxy suits.
No. I have no problem with modern iterations of that. I love. My wife wears shit all the time. That's the same kind of like boxy 80s style stuff, but it's like the modern, set to the monochrome of today's fashion. That era was just goofy, too goofy for me. And I don't know if there's like an era that I would like prefer or even be like that's my era, but that one in particular, it was just so outlandishly goofy that I don't know. I just there were so many times watching the episode where I would like feel myself.
You're furiously scribbling down notes about
grinding my teeth. Yeah, no, I have notes. I
like that 70-year-old James is like, fuck, this show this is not real enough for me. Like, I'm going back to PBS later, fuckers.
Yeah, no, seriously. Give me the
did you have siblings, James? I don't actually know that.
I do. I have an older sister.
Okay.
And she's 6 years older than I. So this
let's get her on the podcast. She would know this show.
Might be a show
That's
that she would be up on.
Yeah, because any of this stuff that I was into, I have two older siblings, one younger, and so a lot of the TGIF stuff was stuff they were into.
Right.
So it was a chance to hang out with them. But that was not for you. You didn't need that. You didn't want an excuse to hang out.
Dude,
you were doing
like
your own real
honestly,
life thing.
It pisses.
You're too busy killing the neighbor's cat or something.
That show, watching that show, makes me feel the same way as when I watch 2.5 Men, or when I watch fucking. If someone straps me to a fucking chair like it's Clockwork Orange and holds my goddamn eyeballs open and makes me watch The Big Bang Theory, I will become a serial killer. Okay, that will
I gotta say,
happen.
I will not have you besmirch California Dreams' name. I'm not a huge proponent of it, but like I got to give credit where credit's due. Like
Full House, just tell me that. How is it better than Full House?
I think I will defend it's better than those early 2000s shows you just mentioned. But
if we're comparing McDonald's to Burger King, we're picking Full House. I'm sorry, production quality.
They make you shit diarrhea, so like they're not comparable.
Yes, you're right. One of them does. Why are you picking that one?
It's a different color diarrhea. No, it's. I will say that the Full House episode we watched for tonight's episode was literally 5 episodes from the finale of
the whole
Full
show,
House after 8 seasons. So they're definitely phoning it in by that point.
Couldn't give a fuck.
Maybe the 3rd or 4th season when they really hit their stride, it was a better show. But I will say that I've seen every episode of Full House, so I think I am qualified to say this. But it's just Full House was so saccharine, and it always like shoved in this moral lesson at the end, and it was so formulaic, and it was like, this is so cringe now, but California Dreams has this wholesome. I don't know. It's nostalgic. It tried, like, Zach, you gotta like pipe in, because like they did like a very special episode on the last one we watched, and they actually did it pretty well. They did it pretty well.
Yeah,
the social situation not bad. It was like a racism episode, and I was like, oh, they could have fumbled this completely, and
yeah,
they got to the touchdown yard line. Albeit clunky, but they got there.
Huh? No touchdown.
No, they made it.
I'm a sportsman. That's my analogy for you. I'm saying with Full House, it was hard to get through, and I've watched some awful shit in my life. So,
well, yeah, I guess on the real scale, like California Dreams does feel realer than Full House.
Nobody's
doesn't
family
require like a bow at the end of each episode. Sometimes it's just like, yeah, I don't know. It's sometimes life's messy. We did our best. Like,
yeah,
just kind of. Like,
I appreciate that. I mean, I got a lot of issues with both shows. Don't get me wrong, but Desert Island, I'm picking California Dreams over any of the bullshit shows you just mentioned, James. I mean, there's just no. There's no comparison, really. There's heart with California Dreams, but 2.5 Men, it's like set up punchline, set up punchline.
She
the Big
was
Bang
smoking
Theory
crack
doesn't
and
even
everything.
have.
No one, there's no wholesome attitude to that at all.
Are you talking about Stephanie? You talking about Joey Sweeten? That's what you're talking about? Oh, you're talking about Charlie Sheen. I thought you were talking about Stephanie Tanner from Full House, who literally wrote a book about being a meth head.
But her too. So here's my question. What happened? All the people on this show, did any of them have a spiral?
That's a good question. I don't know.
It's like a thing that happened. Younger actors who are on these types of shows, they just fucking have some weird kind of crack spiral.
No, I saw them all alive and in the flesh in the last couple months.
I mean, they're alive, but
they're all still breathing. I would say that Kelly Packard, who played Tiffany, she played the bass in California Dreams, probably went on to be the most successful in her own. I don't know.
Well, her mother did leave her when she was young.
Spoiler!
Don't spoil the episode for me, James.
She had a lot to make up for.
To hear that. She
went on to Baywatch for 3 seasons. So, I mean, everybody there at the show was really happy. This is obviously the biggest thing they've done. I don't mean that with any kind of shade. It's just this was a huge point. It was a big break for their young selves. But I listened to like an 1.5-hour podcast interview with the guy who plays Matt, Brentley Gore. And he's really down to earth. He's still a musician in Nashville. Like, he still plays shows, and I guess he kind of regrets leaving the show when he did, but I don't think anyone really spiraled, We're going to find out once they get on our podcast.
There he is.
Yeah.
There's our guy.
He lives like 10 minutes from Zach. I've already looked it up. So we're going to
that's not creepy at all.
We're going to plan a play date. No, I don't, but I just assume everything's 10 minutes in Nashville.
Yeah, everything's within 10 minutes of each other. That's true. There's something almost Canadian about California Dreams.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It felt like off-brand Full House. It felt like
Vancouver Dreams.
Yeah, exactly. British Columbia Dreams.
Yeah. There's no outside shots, no establishing shots.
Well, yeah, we found that out last week. There's
like it hit us.
No outside establishing.
We don't know what their house looks like from the outside. We don't know what Sharky's, this venue that they play and hang out at. We don't know what any of it looks like.
How deliberately ambiguous.
Exactly. It could be anywhere.
Just what they want you to think.
It could be just like your house.
Everywhere is California's a state of mind, dude.
Yeah, we don't actually know where in California is it. We assume it's somewhere in LA, but we've never gotten any kind of context clues. So every time they mention a fake location, we'll look it up on a map to see if
Could you imagine in the early 90s LA music scene?
Okay.
If California Dreams showed up to play a show with with
Guns N' Roses or LA Guns.
Exactly.
Yes, that would be amazing.
Well, you've only heard 2 songs so far, James. They play a new song almost every episode.
Oh, God.
Yeah, so there.
Yeah. Yeah, it varies a lot in genre, I will say.
You better not do really well.
Yeah.
You better not be doing really well on our podcast because we'll ask you to be a permanent host. So you better purposely fuck it up and just be really dull, okay?
See, well, here's the thing. If you just talk about how much you love the show, where's the conversation? You got to have the naysayer. And I guess it's just my role in life to be the naysayer when I walk into the room.
Yeah.
You're such a peach to be around.
I know. Yeah. I'm a real negative Nancy. I get it.
But I think if I can answer that in a serious manner, I was actually surprised, and it was Zach that kind of brought this out of me. I didn't want to start this podcast just to clown on the show. There's so many podcasts that do that with media, and since becoming a musician and trying to make a life out of it, I realized how hard it is to actually get something going, whether it's a media production or a band or a movie or whatever. So at the end of the day, somebody put a lot of time and thought and energy and money into this. So I didn't want to just bag on it. But as I was watching the episodes, 22 minutes elapsed and I was like, it wasn't too bad. I didn't hate this that much. There are some cringy parts and episodes that drag and they have bad subplots or whatever, but I'm kind of pleasantly surprised how wholesome it is and how fun it is. but I will still critique the shit out of these children's decisions as far as, you know, how they operate a band, because that's the only qualifications I have.
You make a good point. You make a very good point. Someone spent a lot of time and money, and I think somewhere in my notes is that same note, but I'm angry about that. Someone spent
Let's talk about you. Let's
a
unwrap
lot
that,
of
James.
time and money on this. I don't know. Call me a contrarian. I don't know.
I was going to. That's very obvious. There's definitely we're gonna be dealing with some shitty episodes when they finally do make it to school. Because Zach is like, "What is this school institution you keep talking about?" Now I promise it's gonna happen. There are some stupid fucking episodes, and we've already been told that they kind of veer away from the music being a band as much, and they kind of deal with more being the kid stuff because that's what the demographic wanted. So I want to get a good foundation before that. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, Zach.
No, that's all right. I don't remember. I don't remember. Go ahead.
I just think it is really funny, and I there's no reason, I have no business starting this podcast, but I just did it because it's something to do, something to creatively channel my energy into. And so I'm super pleased to see you two doing it. There's like a bunch of other people too who have kind of either asked or I don't know, I've just been like enabling people. But there's something to be said about you know, just the fucking conversation. Like I don't know, even when I watch movies now, I like to pick them apart. I create like you're saying, Pete. I create things too, and even if it's not something that I would create, I like to critically pick something apart and find things that I do and don't like about everything, whether it's music or a movie or a show. And I don't know. It's just this is a good thing to be spending your time doing. I'm glad you guys are doing it.
So what did you like about California Dreams without giving away more? The conversation will have soon.
You know, I liked that it was giving us three a reason to be together. I really liked it for that. I like that it was short. I like that it was short. We didn't have to watch commercials. That's the another benefit of watching things 20 years after they happen. And I'm not going to lie, the quality was pretty trash, but it's just weird to think that all the quality back then was trash. Like, we're so used to high definition, crisp shit. Just, you know, the low res uploads of early 90s TV shows on YouTube can only be so good. It didn't look that good when it was on, you know, cathode ray TV tubes, televisions, you know.
That is strange that it's not streaming anywure. And that was a conversation we had, like, oh shit, what if this gets like taken off YouTube? Knock on wood. But that's why
we
California
haven't released
Dreams
anything
has
yet. We're gonna record them all first and then release it, so that if this blows up and everything gets taken down, we've at least seen every episode.
Yeah, it's going to be on the way back machine.
You're going to make NBC aware that their smash hit TV show California Dreams is on the internet.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm surprised they're at least not monetizing it.
You're going to spoil it from everybody.
We're the number one California Dreams based podcast in America or Canada.
We are. We found that out. Saskatoon, especially.
You know, Pete, what's funny is they couldn't monetize it back then. So I don't think they're going to be able to figure out a way
it had
to
the greatest
monetize it now.
On Saturday mornings, okay? That's nothing to sneeze at.
That isn't. They probably got some good residual checks for a while, but
that's true. For 5 seasons.
NBC ate it on the fucking syndication.
There was two other shows on the TNBC lineup. That was the TGIF for kids. Teen NBC that were way worse.
What?
Okay, there was one called.
This was a thing?
There was one called. Yes, there was a 4 episode block that started with Saved by the Bell because it was the most popular, and then it was California Dreams, and then it was Hang Time, which was about a high school band, and then there was City Guys, which was about two dudes in the city being dudes. So and it was pretty much all the same production company, and basically 1, 2, 3, 4. That is like how popular it was. But fucking Hang Time, it had Anthony Anderson, who is like a big actor now. So eat it, James.
Are we going to watch
a big
Hang
launch
Time?
pad?
Is this going to be a part of this too?
If it has anything to do with music,
I mean,
you said it's about a band.
I would get
like, okay,
it's about a high school basketball team.
ultimately,
I thought you said
ultimately,
I might have said band. My bad.
Everything's a band.
You absolutely, when you run out of episodes of this show, you just morph it to one of these other shows. Like, dude, I haven't even heard of any of these shows. I'm looking at a list on Wikipedia of TNBC shows. I haven't heard of Double Up, never heard of California Dreams, never heard of Name Your Adventure, never heard of Brains and Brawn, never heard of Running the Halls. I did hear that. Never heard of Hang Time, never heard of City Guys, never heard of One World, never heard of Just Deal, Skate, All About Us. Wait, what?
This went on to like the early aughts,
I guess maybe I did hear this one with Fred Savage.
Okay, there's one. There's two.
Fred Savage had a second. He had a second stab at stardom, huh? Well,
Decade later.
Was that before Boy Meets World? Before his brother took the reins of the family?
I don't know. Let's see.
2001? Yeah. Boy Meets World.
It was only one season, it looks like. Wow.
Oh, misconduct allegations. Oh, geez.
Oh, no.
There's a really weird episode of Boy Meets World where Fred Savage is in it and he makes a pass at Topanga that is like highly aggressive and almost sexual assaulty.
Yeah, the professor,
and I was like,
right?
No, Fred. Yes, he plays a professor,
But yeah,
I was like, this is an odd choice. Like it's like Fred Savage wanting to shed his like boyish character actor.
Yeah, we
facial
finally
baggage.
get the sibling on as a guest, and he's a creep.
They hid it in plain sight. They hid it. Did you guys ever watch during all the Cosby stuff? Did you watch the clip of that episode of the Cosby shit where he's like, "There's something special about my barbecue
Yes.
sauce." Have you guys seen that?
Yes.
It's sinister as fuck.
It's
knowing the context now.
Yeah.
But yeah. So
like
that's
yeah.
This is something that I feel I was really kind of hoping one of them had a spiral. Like I was hoping that there was going to be at least one kind of like serious child actor tragedy associated with this, so we could kind of like pick it apart. But it sounds like most of these people lived pretty reasonable existences.
Yeah, they're pretty regular. They'll get asked to do some stuff here and there, and they get real excited about it. They were on Jimmy Fallon like a handful of years ago. That's probably the biggest thing that they've done in recent years.
See, my biggest worry was that. Sorry, my biggest worry was that they were gearing up to do a podcast. So after I saw them, I thought they were like there was this sense of urgency with me when I was talking to Zach. I was like, hey, we got to start now. We have to as soon as you're available, because I was so worried. It's better to be first than better.
Like they're probably booking their world tour right now.
We got to get on this.
I know some of them want to tour and some of them do not. You could kind of tell at the concert like who was totally down with like get the band back together. And when I say the band, I mean they were up there singing. There were 6 microphones up on stage. Just microphones, and then there was a whole band behind them. And Brent Gore was the only person that was playing instrument of all the band. And then Sly was just there, like hanging out, doing what managers do.
Did he have a boxy suit?
No, he had a California Dreams shirt on.
What a
underneath,
dick.
And then he showed
his shit dick manager.
I hate that.
Hey,
he's lost his nerve.
All this, Zach keeps bagging on me because like I am taking up for Sly way more than I thought, and he's such a creep. I don't want to take up for him, but I fantasize about having a manager that gives as much of a shit about that band, as Sly does. I wish I had that. So that's it.
It's not worth it. I don't know how he is in this episode, the episode you saw, James, but I did mention how everybody is redeemable and they're doing their best. I got to make an exception with Sly.
He really is fucking up all the time.
He is. Yeah. I mean,
He's
he gets them money. He gets them like on the business end. He is the only reason that band is doing anything but be in the garage and like kind of write songs sometimes.
Yeah.
So
that's as close as I'm going to get.
But it just comes at the cost of him harassing
poor women all around him.
Yeah, all of the women in the band and stealing other people's money.
Yeah, like all the shows didn't really age that well.
No, I mean, yeah.
None of it really aged well.
Is this your segue into woke America?
No, absolutely not. But it's just that California Dreams is like not an egregious offender, but Cordy watches Sex and the City all the time, so I'm always like getting down that path, watching that show. There's lots of troublesome things in the first few seasons of it.
Mr. Big, also pretty troublesome, right?
Yeah, no, I mean they're a bunch of characters. But it's, I don't know, it's a snapshot of time. It's like All in the Family. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What TV used to be.
Casual racism, super hilarious.
Yeah, but I will say this. I did appreciate California Dreams. They had a fully integrated cast.
Yes, they did.
And it's not necessarily a thing that was, I guess like that was the first wave. That's when it starts to become a thing.
Mm-hmm.
There's a couple other shows that I thought about doing that are like band centric. There's a Canadian show called Catwalk, and it's about like a college age band that lives in a loft together. And I think it's only on YouTube and the quality is awful. So I was like, maybe it's a special episode, but I mean, there are other shows
Don't
like
say
this.
no to it.
But this is the one that I like remember.
Canada,
Hey.
How different is it? Does it feel like California Dreams? It being Canadian.
I watched one episode so I could kind of do some research on this, but it looks like Nev Campbell, one of her first shows.
The show had a somewhat post-apocalyptic flavor with Blade Runner style burning oil barrels, dark and ambient lighting, and flashing white lights that pass through blinds, giving the show a futuristic look.
I did not. That must not have been on the pilot.
This is why you liked it, right? This exact
edgy.
Description right here.
True.
It was like
there was a replicant on the episode that I saw. Now that I'm thinking about it, I guess it had fashion stuff too. Okay, wow. I didn't even know you could. I know. This is just your podcast is just watching stuff. James is a reactor.
Well, I thought, and honestly, I thought for my episode we were going to watch the episode, but I guess
we don't put everybody through. We can't just give it to people for free.
So these are just like teens in a band that.
No, I think they're college age because they're living in a city.
They do look really cool.
There's lots of barrel fires going on.
Oh, okay.
So. I just want to. I literally had that haircut all through high school. I want people to know I put so much time and thought into this podcast, and this one almost made the cut, but nobody had heard. I knew nobody had heard of this show, so.
Yeah.
Wait, you almost did a podcast about this show instead?
It crossed my mind. No, California Dreams is always the front runner, but I was like,
okay,
what if nobody cares about California Dreams? I mean, and James is our litmus test. He's our sample size.
It's not going great. I don't know.
Because, the other thing is I'm not sure when we're going to start posting the episodes to actual California Dreams fan forums, because there are a lot. There are a lot on Facebook, and there's a lot of like
obviously that's like a no-brainer where you'd want to tap into that audience, of course.
Yeah, but I want to wait till like a good episode that we're not just entirely making fun of the show, because we're going to get some angry people. I fully, and I'm not being dramatic, I truly think there's going to be some people that are kind of pissed that it's not just 100% praise on the show, because if based on the people that I saw at the show who thought California Dreams was a real band, those are the people that are like moderating those Facebook pages. So I want to kind of get our feet wet with the actual audience and then kind of dip into there, because
I think there's been a lot of praise though. I mean, Pete, you love this show, and I don't think anything that I've said about it is too egregious. I don't think. I mean, I've been pretty nice about it. I'm pretty forgiving on it, and I do genuinely like things about it. I have been enjoying it.
I don't even know if I love the show. I'm surprised how much I'm enjoying the show and how much it's not making it doesn't feel like work at all. Like, I look forward to making content about the show.
It's definitely not work. It's definitely not work.
It is work putting together a podcast and like doing research on it. So like last week I worked hours looking up what amps they had at their show, because they blew an amp and there was a subplot about somebody had to buy them a new amp or whatever. So I like went on forums, I took photos. I was like a film noir detective, like in front of a microfiche machine at like 3 a.m. and being like, I got it, I found it. And it, I don't know, it was very fulfilling to kind of figure it out, do the price points, find old musicians' friend magazines to find the exact amp, and be like, all to get to the same conclusion, which I knew was true. It's like, that's bullshit, not feasible. They said it costs this much. It actually costs this much.
You spent a ton of time only to find out it was all fake. I'm really happy that you invested all of that energy and effort into that. It's the same way I feel about the energy and effort that the people invested in making that show.
Yeah, well,
like, what if we had spent that doing literally anything else? Like, we might be in a utopia. We might live in a fucking utopia if the energy had been spent doing anything else.
Look, if you don't like my music, you can blame the people from the show. It was, I wouldn't say pivotal. It was definitely a small portion of why I became a musician. So
yeah,
I feel like
100%.
we're going to start hearing it now. Like, hearing the influence.
It's true. I mean, in all my lyrics,
more songs.
And to be fair, Zach, like, we've never heard these songs. Like, we wouldn't even know what. But the more we are aware of them in our minds, and hearing You Bred Raptors, who knows what we'll find in those You Bred Raptors songs.
Lots of lyrics, lots of guitar, obviously, lots of keyboard. That sounds exactly like what I do.
Surf dudes with attitude, really.
No,
I've never gone surfing.
Different instrumentation. Nobody will catch on. They don't have that many strings.
Yeah, we need more strings. I need more strings.
Are you still playing your weird 6-string tunings?
I play more than just 6-string tunings. I'll have you know.
James and I were in a band together. He was so difficult to play with because he's like, nah, I got to play the,
it's got to be this
abacadabra or whatever you can tune your guitar to.
It's a hammered dulcimer. No, I think that was the only guitar I had there, though. I don't think I had.
We were literally practicing in your house that had multiple guitars. I don't buy that for a second.
But those other guitars were Jake's, and they were duty. They'd survived, floods and hurricanes and all.
Drummer guitars. Yeah. I get it.
But Nilbog was pretty sick.
Oh, I miss it, man. If I'm being completely honest, like, that was one of the funnest bands I've ever been in, because it was so hard to get everyone together, but it was everybody's side project, and it was just, I could just
our set
show up
ripped.
and play low notes.
Yeah, our set ripped. I really loved shredding that. The breweries, so many delicious evenings. The fucking Shining.
Oh, yeah. I don't know if you knew that, Zach. We were in a band called Nilbog, and we had to rename it Nilbog 2.
It was Nilbog 2, yeah.
We didn't want to get in trouble with the actual Nilbog. And we played horror and sci-fi music, and we just projected the movies behind us, and we wore cloaks. It was just fucking fun. Like, it was just no frills.
The crowds dug it. Yeah, the crowd. There was something that
merch.
Every crowd recognized,
Yeah.
When was this? What years?
2000. 14 to 16 or something. We didn't play a ton.
No way. It would have been later than that. It would have been.
Oh, right. I was up here.
17, 18.
Yeah.
Before, like, kind of right before COVID. The Halloween, at least before COVID.
Yeah, that knocked us out. the most talented member of the band was in like 5 bands, and he had to drop one. And of course, we were on the cutting room floor.
The seasonal band that was named with a 2 at the end, so he wouldn't get sued by the original. He had to cut that one out.
He didn't have time for that one little thing.
Bummer. Yeah.
Well, we're gonna have a reunion at any point with or without this other guy.
We're gonna cover California Dreams songs.
Fuck off! It's like
it could be a summertime show.
You realize we had to both start a podcast so we could hang out. So like the thought of getting
dudes with attitude,
kind of groovy.
It's so fucking dumb. So dumb.
You know what? It does grow on you when you have to listen to it.
Yeah, you know when we illegally extradited terrorists to Abu Ghraib, we did this thing where we just put a speaker in their cell and we just blasted like Miley Cyrus 24 hours a day. And I feel like we could add this to that list. And over time, like you hear anything enough, you'll start to like it. Like ultimately, those terrorists are like singing Miley Cyrus because they love the song after hearing it a bunch of times. I feel like that. I guess is what I'm saying is I feel like that. Yeah, that's like, how that makes
sounds
me feel.
exactly
you just
like that.
have to listen to it a lot more times. You'll feel like that.
Yeah, like someone strap me to a wall in a stress position with chains and play that song 24/7 for at least a couple weeks, and then I'm sure it'll start to
It's
grow.
so funny. James doesn't even know. Like that song on the scale of California Dream songs is pretty high up there. Like there's some really bad songs that
Pete,
Yeah, there are.
I know. Okay, I could tell from what I heard. I could tell where this.
It's
is
fine.
going.
We had the CD if you want it. We bought the CD off eBay.
No,
of their songs.
where is it? Do you have the cover? I want to see the cover.
We literally have uploaded it to our server, and we will send it to you whether you like it or not.
Sorry, it's in the cloud now, huh?
No, I think
gotta
you must have the
contact
hard
your
copy.
IT
CD
guy,
player
huh?
to play. You have a way to play it.
Do you have the hard copy, Pete? Or
Our
George does?
producer does. Yeah.
Okay, so that's
What's the name of
Hershey,
the album
Pennsylvania.
called? What's the name of the album called?
I'm sure California Dreams. I'm sure it was one of those. It's like Black Sabbath. Black Sabbath.
Oh, here we go.
With the first song being Black Sabbath.
It's the first season.
Oh, baby.
All the songs from the first season.
So
Audio cassette.
apparently-
$6 fucking dollars. Six
Oh, we
fucking
should
dollars.
actually get this.
$119. You're shitting me.
Is that how much George paid
that's
for it?
this right here. This
No,
is the
he
only
found it on
person.
eBay.
This is the only person ever who's made money on this show.
Apparently, the idea was that they were going to go on tour, and the band was going to go on a world tour because of
so
this
this
show,
was a
and then
NBC
that got abandoned. Yeah, this was totally like a whole
Pre-boy
Chris Gaines
band.
situation.
Yeah.
Did it get abandoned because of the cast changed?
I think it was just a money thing. They're like, we can just produce a cheap show instead of actually putting this band on the road.
Yeah.
Wait, so was the goal the live, like selling the concert,
Yes.
selling albums, selling merch? Like this show
Yeah.
was an advertisement for what the actual goal
Yes.
was, and then they're like,
The show was going to be on as long as it was successful, but on the off season they were going to be touring. But
That's
I mean,
amazing.
they're all musicians, but I don't know how
It didn't even look like they were
competent
playing.
they would do.
Yeah, it didn't even look
Some
like
of
they
them
were playing.
we do breakdowns of how well they're playing. Actually,
yeah, we give them different awards.
Like what? Best air guitar, best fake it till you make it.
Yeah,
well,
we
I'm glad you asked, James.
we use their names. We use their names for
tone.
different things. All right.
Okay.
The Tony Award is the best miming. The
Yeah.
Jenny is the worst. The Tiffy is the best. Just all around band member. You know, like even if they're not great at playing, they're like, oh, I'd rather have a person in the trenches with me when something goes bad.
Damn, I'm gonna need an infographic to keep track of all those.
We'll have it ready for you.
Please. I do like that system though. It does make it very easy to assign
Yeah.
roles.
Well, I
And
mean, it doesn't because they're giving the Tony to Jenny or whatever like that.
that makes sense though, because in every show, every character isn't
Jenny
every
never gets the
character
Tony.
isn't every character in every show like that a little bit of each and every one of us, you know?
It's true.
Like, aren't we just like every character on that show sometimes?
Aren't
Isn't
we
that
all
why
sly?
those shows are relatable?
Yeah.
Is because we can all be a Tony or a Whitney or whoever the fuck else is on that show.
That's the point. But 7-year-old James was like, fuck this show. So something got lost in the shuffle and you didn't believe that.
yeah,
still
but
time.
I mean,
There's still
I've
time.
just always been a curmudgeon. Is really what it boils down
You
to.
get married, man.
Huh?
How does anybody put up with that attitude?
Well, she is the only person that really has to put up with it, and that's the only thing that I'm not a curmudgeon about, to be honest with you.
That's true.
That's why I
you
married
busted
her.
a move at your wedding.
Yeah.
It was a really great
What's
wedding.
funny is at my wedding, for at least the last 2 hours, I thought I was going to throw up. When we were cutting the cake, I don't know what it is. It was probably the fact that like I didn't eat much the day before or that day. Like I kept getting shuffled around from place to place. I never got to eat a meal. Even at my wedding, I had one slice of pizza. I had no cheese, no crackers, nothing.
Pizza
I had
too.
one.
Good pizza.
It was amazing pizza. I wish I could have one. But somewhere at like, I guess maybe like 9 or 10, it hit me. And I was like, oh, super lightheaded. I went white. I was like, and then we had to go cut the cake. And I was like, and I was like, Courtney, don't shove it in my mouth. Don't shove it. If you shove it in my mouth, I'm going to throw up. And she's like, oh, okay. We saved it though.
Bridezilla over here, Jesus.
Yeah, no, seriously. I had, whatever. I can't survive off one piece of pizza alone.
Cannot.
I had no idea. I had no idea that whole time.
You held it together well.
You seemed, yeah.
Yeah, well, I've been
Poker face
suffering
was
most of my fucking life, so I get it over with. I suck it up and
Get this guy on a
Power
podcast.
through.
He's just a ray of light.
I powered. Yes, seriously, the vibes are really strong here. So like, what really like? Why do this? Like, why do your show? I mean, for why are you starting a podcast? Like, why? What is it that you want to do? I'll tell you why I started mine, so I could talk to my friends.
Please.
I wanted to start a show so I could just talk to my friends more. And I'm not going to lie, it works fucking great. I get to talk to my friends and record the conversation for posterity's sake. So why are you guys, what,
I mean, that's
what
a
compelled
big
you?
reason
You could have started
for
a
me.
blog. You could have started a fucking meme page on Instagram. Why did you start a podcast?
Yeah, I said yes to the podcast for a lot of that. It was something I've been interested in doing podcasts, but never wanted to pull the trigger and do all the hard stuff, all the production and stuff of it. But I was interested in it, and Pete and I, we've known each other for years, but we've barely hung out, and we'll like catch up when we're in each other's cities, but it's pretty brief. So this was an opportunity to hang out and to do something. It sounded so stupid that it's just like, it just sounded like such a ridiculous thing to spend time on that it's like, yeah, of course. Of course. Well, let's spend a year and a half watching this show I've never heard of and getting to know each other in the process.
Yeah, I was super glad he said yes because I had no plan B. If he had said no, I was just going to probably let this sit for another 10 years.
I kind of wish I had known that, but I really like being involved, and I knew that if I saw you doing this and I wasn't involved in it, I'd be like, oh man, that does look like fun.
FOMO.
I really do appreciate that. That means a lot because he's right. I go there on tour. He comes up here on tour. We hang out for a night, and it's like, man, it's like you have this best friend feel with somebody like I genuinely miss you when I'm in the next city. So I wanted this to be a reason to kind of hang with him more. And he's just so funny and witty that, when you hang out with somebody and they're just so like on, and I'm like, fuck, like you almost get jealous that they're that good with people. And I was like, I want to see him fail. I want to see
about you, Pete, and I think you have seen me fail.
No, but it's great because we have post-production magic that we all sound great every episode.
That's
but
true.
I guess I started it because
you wanted to see Zac fail. Yeah, you wanted to see
that
Zac
was a
fail.
joke.
Yeah,
But
it was like
honestly, you want a real answer? I am so stressed and depressed and get anxious knots in my belly when I think about my band and like all the stuff we have to do. Like that stuff behind the scenes has become so unfun and such like a stress point in my life that like I've entered therapy because it's like it's not a healthy relationship. But this podcast, like I think of all the time and I get so excited, and I know it's an uphill battle. I know we have like 50 followers on each platform because like we just announced it, but I'm not super worried about numbers right now. I'm like genuinely having a great time, and I wanted to put creativity and music into something and use my skills and my career expertise and all my experience to good use finally. And like I sat there and I wrote music for this show. Like I just sit and wrote island songs on the guitar, and it was just nice to write for something that wasn't my band because it would be like a completely different outlet. So that's why I started it. And yeah, just be good to yourself and each other. So
yeah, I'm not gonna lie. We're not doing this for the views. Okay, we're not doing this for the followers.
I heard this podcast was a cash cow, though.
We're not doing this for the subscribership. This to me is a more constructive use of my time for the same reasons. Like instead of me sitting in my room just stressing about whatever, feeling like I'm not doing enough, even when I'm doing plenty.
So much.
This is just an easy way for me to quickly channel that. And again, like talk to my friends. There's a ton of friends that I have in Nebraska. I don't get to see them super frequently. I don't even really get to talk to them frequently, but I can occasionally catch them on a night and we can have a conversation about whatever crazy topic we're going to talk about. I guess after COVID too, we all kind of quickly adapted to the Zoom mentality, the Zoom lifestyle, and this all of a sudden became okay, whereas before everyone had to be in the same fucking room. And I mean, even since then, I've done a bunch of albums remotely for the same thing, but those aren't the instantaneous reward. This is something I can do every week, and I can feel like I accomplished something creatively that week. It was like a good sink of my time, an hour, 2, 3, however many hours I spend on the whole process. That was a good thing for me, for my creative, for the purposes of just the sake of creating. For me, albums, I don't churn music out every month. It's like sometimes years. It's a long period of time, and it has to go over here on this side of the country, and someone has to do something, has to come back over to me, and then I have to get in the right headspace where I can sit and do it. The show, this to me, the band is a lot of work mentally, and it's a lot of long range planning. You both know about that process. The podcast is a pretty nice instantaneous reward, and even if it's not doing millions of listeners, there's going to be someone out there who'll listen to it. And like
Hopefully.
you guys, 10 out of 10 chance the band will come on your podcast, 100%. They're not because they're not untouchable. Those are celebrities that are definitely on the level where you could hit them up on Twitter and they might fucking respond to you. And if you get enough people just checking out the podcast, just fans of that show who are interested in content about that show, 10 out of 10 chance they come on the show. That would be fucking hilarious.
We definitely talked about it, and we definitely know which ones we could get. And I don't mean that in any way. I just mean that I think they would. But I kind of we had a discussion, said we kind of want to hold off until at least like the second season, until we get our footing. We kind of find what the show is about, find what the audience likes about it. Because the last thing we want is to like find this groove and then have them come on and then completely not be able to talk about what we want, because we might be clowning on a song. Rightfully so, because somebody's playing it shitty, but we don't want an entire episode where we're just like, that was great and that was great. What was your experience like? Oh, it was great. Because like, I don't want to listen to that. Like they can do an interview with
great.
Tiger Beat. Yeah. But I don't know if you know, Zach, but James and I, we watched the movie over Zoom, over the podcast, or over the pandemic, every week. That kind of kept me going. That was like the only social interaction that I was having for months.
It was kind of the same thing. Like we'd watch the thing and there would be some ripping on it, but there would also be like, the rabbit holes, this song being played in the background is related to this and that and this and that. kind of had a Mystery Science Theater 3000 vibe. And yeah, that was like COVID lifeline for a while.
Yeah.
And that I guess that probably us doing that was probably another thing that made me realize how easy it would be to do a podcast. Like this shit.
Yeah.
Like you guys use, would you use StreamYard? There's
For
so many.
the podcast.
Yeah,
there's a lot more now.
There's a ton. There's a fucking ton. I use an AI site to edit the clips. It does it in like 20 minutes. It's fucking crazy. I don't know. It's a fun little creative thing, and like for posterity's sake, and for the sake of documentation, it's just a fun thing to do. I'm just glad to see you guys doing it.
We're doing it for better or worse. We got like 60 episodes left. So
it's commitment. All right, so we're gonna wrap up the first hour here. We're gonna hit this outro. You guys, thank you both for coming on the show. In the XLB, we're gonna go. I don't know what we're gonna talk about. We're gonna find something to talk about.
We're stuck here.
Probably gonna be a strange conversation. But thank you both for coming on. And is there anything else you want to say about yourselves or the show before we wrap it up on this one?
I don't think we have an attitude. We're really agreeable people, so I don't want anybody like put off that we're confrontational or anything. Give us your side. We're gonna listen.
Yeah, we're pretty approachable. So approach, subscribe, like the things, and get into it. This show is fucking way better than Full House. So if you like Full House, you might not anymore.
Yeah.
Well, you heard it here, folks. This has been the Totally Legitimate Business Podcast. We'll catch you on the next one. See you later.
Thank you.
This has been the Totally Legitimate Business Podcast. The end. With your host, James Oliva. Executive producers, Clint G and James Oliva. That's obnoxious. Sound design, mix, and master by James Oliva. Literally no one cares. For more Totally Legitimate Business, subscribe to our YouTube channel at Totally Legitimate Business or add us on TikTok at TLB Pod. When will this end? Thank you for listening. Now get back to work. Move it along, buddy.